right, everybody, welcome. I've got Justen Overlander with us again today. He was gracious enough on probably one of the biggest weeks of the year for you guys, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's man, it's exciting. It's really exciting, big in a good way.
Yeah. So if you don't remember, Justen was on the podcast a few months ago talking about The Chosen, and now you guys have the season 2 airing this Sunday night, which everybody's super. You dropped the trailer dropped yesterday, right?
Yeah, the full season 2 trailer, and yeah, we're making waves with that, doing pretty well on YouTube.
What's been the biggest reaction you've gotten with that?
We've got our diehard fans that live and breathe The Chosen. The ones that have since season 1 completed, started asking when's season 2.
Sure, yeah.
And we've had people legitimately say, I bawled through the trailer. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. But
my wife did. I showed it to her and I turned to her and she's like tearing up, and I'm just kind of like, oh wow, okay, cool. I mean, it's a great trailer, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, to each their own. It's fantastic. And I'm a sensitive, emotional guy. I cry on set. Sure. And so part of it is that I've seen some of this already, and so I got my tears out of the way. But I know that I'm going to be watching and crying through the episodes for sure.
Of course, yeah. I wanted to ask you just real quick about getting season 2 started. Obviously I wanted to hear about it a lot, but when you guys actually found out that you're going to be doing this, because I imagine with it being crowdfunded and also with COVID happening, you probably, it was a big question mark for a while, right? So what was the feeling when you actually found out you guys were, like, season 2 was in production?
Well, man, the history of this show, we went from shooting episodes 1 through 4 of season 1, not even being positive we would be able to finish those. I mean, those first 4 episodes, we had one 18-hour shoot day. I'm not joking. Like, we started, I think, I don't remember the specific times, but we legitimately shot for 18 hours one day because we were up against that big of a time crunch. And, we released the first 4 episodes and we're like, okay, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. We didn't know we would be finishing season 1. And then we were able to finish season 1. And by that point, we were pretty sure that we would get to do another season, but we weren't sure when and how. And, the pandemic hit and everything. And as soon as like these social distancing rules and all these isolation things, that quarantine isn't the right word. Quarantine is when you get it, you stay away. What's the word I'm looking for? We're
the shelter in place stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not supposed to go out in public. So then we release all of season 1 for free on YouTube. And our method of financing season 2 was through something called Pay It Forward. All of a sudden, that just skyrocketed. People were seeing the show, reacting so positively to it that they wanted to see more seasons. They wanted to support this and get Jesus out into the world, through this medium. And the financing started to come in. So we realized, we've got a legitimate chance of shooting, season 2 soon. But the logistics of putting that together with all of the regulations and everything, I mean, while we were on set, we're testing multiple times per week. We're in kind of this bubble where we're not, going out into the community too much. I mean, you got to go eat, you got to, get groceries and whatnot. But we were really, really careful. And we, miraculously, we did not have any major outbreaks. We didn't have to shut down because of COVID. The only thing that got us was in Texas in
the weather.
February. It was the snow.
I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit here, because that sounds like that was quite an adventure for you guys. I mean, what a cool thing too, because it was during the Sermon on the Mount, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's when it started. Like, there was no snow then, but it was definitely some cold precipitation, and the temperature was, I think, in the upper 30s, but the wind chill brought it down probably to the point where it felt like it was in the 20s.
Right. I think there was a video you guys had posted, and it was Jonathan Rumi in like a big old jacket about to do the Sermon on the Mount, and I mean, Jesus doing a selfie video is kind of funny too, but he's like in this giant jacket, and I could just tell people were like, it had to have been cold, because like you said, in the 30s, it's fine if there's no wind and you got a jacket on, but once that wind hits, man, I mean, that's got to be rough, especially when you got to act like you're not that cold, right?
Well, and first century Israel, socks weren't a thing, so
They're all
everybody
barefoot.
is barefoot except for like sandals and stuff, and
Sure.
that's where the cold really sets in
Right.
is your extremity. So if you don't have your feet protected, I mean, the heroes of that day were the 2,000 plus extras that came in to be in the crowd. I mean,
Yeah.
those people are just
That
heroes.
yeah, I couldn't find the video last night when I was going through this, but you guys had so I knew the number 2,000, but you had how did you get 2,000 people to do that, like, especially with the regulations and stuff, and where did you find 2,000 people to do it?
Well, so we're financed through this system that we call Pay It Forward right
Right.
now. I mean, our first season was, a group of 19,000 investors. So they actually have a stake in the Chosen LLC. And if we're successful, they will be successful too, financially speaking.
Oh,
Um,
I don't think I
but
realized
but
that
for
19,000 that I don't think I realized that. That's really cool.
that was for season one specifically. We haven't opened up any other investment rounds since then. Season two was crowdsourced through the Pay It Forward system, which isn't investments. It isn't even technically a donation. It's not tax deductible. It's just people that believe in the show and want to see more seasons. And
Mhm.
so we had a perk that if you paid it forward a particular amount, you would be invited to be an extra
Oh,
for
that's
the
cool.
Sermon on the Mount scene. Yeah. Now we scheduled it months in advance, so there's no way in the world that we could have predicted that Midlothian, Texas, at that particular time
I
of
know.
year was going to be historically cold.
Yeah,
You think Texas in February,
you're
you're
fine.
upper 50s, 60s at least,
Yeah.
right?
No,
No,
that's crazy.
it
That's
was
crazy.
crazily cold. And then, but like the whole COVID stuff. I mean, they, not to reveal how the sausage is made or bog you down or bore you with details, but every one of those people got tested multiple times before they were allowed on set.
Okay.
So, and we even did have to turn a few people away, people that may have, and I don't know the details if they did fly in or not, but people that may have flown in from 1,000 miles away, that because they tested or showed their test came back not the way we needed it to come back. We did have to send a few people away, but the people on set tested negative, and even in between shooting and stuff, we were all masked up. We were following the protocols and
Mhm.
everything. So, TMZ even interviewed Dallas.
Oh, cool.
Dallas Jenkins, our director. TMZ isn't really known for promoting faith-based
Yeah.
content, but they were so intrigued by the fact that we were able to get that many people on
Yeah.
set during COVID, and we pulled it off. The grace of God,
Yeah.
honestly, is what allowed us to do that.
That's going to be so cool too when that airs and people see it. I mean, with what's so cool about the way you guys do the social media is you let people see so much behind the scenes, which is really fun because you get to see little parts of. I mean, there was the one scene Dallas is talking about. It's when Jesus heals the withered hand, and he shows the little bit of the scene, and like it's just, I mean, it's maybe 30 seconds long or something like that, but it's great little teasers. But it's also fun to hear him talking to the actors like this is a miracle. You got to react like this is something that you've never imagined you would see, and get to see that behind the scenes stuff is so cool.
Well, and on that on that note, Garrett, the whole miracle of the fish. Have you seen our behind the scenes
Yes.
little short? So they're lifting what we ended up calling a green burrito
Hmm.
into the boat on the day, and then our visual effects team, Chris June and Will Nicholson, created digital fish.
Yeah.
So the actors, I mean, talk about the actors reacting to a miracle. I mean, they're reacting to fish coming up in the boat. There's no fish.
Right.
There's water balloons in this green tarp
Yeah.
that they're lifting up.
And you
So
have to not laugh because you're like it's water balloons. Like yeah, I'm sure that's got to
well,
be difficult.
the
But
the first take of that too. I mean, it was a disaster. Like the tarp started to come undone, and so there's balloons popping
oh
and
no.
floating out into the
Fish
water.
blowing
So
up? You didn't CGI the fish blowing
yeah,
up, huh?
no, we decided not to do that.
So when you got back to set finally, you had mentioned last time how special the wedding scene was because I think you said it was the last night of shooting for season one. Is that right? So when you got
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
was this the first time you had seen most of these people since you guys had shot that?
Um, it, yeah, the majority of the people probably. Obviously, I see Dallas in between
Mm-hmm.
productions. Chad Gunderson, Chris June, our production team in Texas. I see them. I see a handful of the actors. I mean, the thing is, like, we're all family. I mean, we all just get along and like each other so much. So even if we're not seeing each other physically in person, I'm texting with these people, and play fantasy football with a
Oh,
handful of them.
sure.
So
That's
we're
cool.
just it's fun to be close to people that are talented, and just have a same goal to make this show the best show that it can be.
Right. Now, so you talked about, jumping back a little bit to the Sermon on the Mount scene. I think I saw something. Was Phil Wickham part of the extras there?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. He came
he led worship
and
or something,
sang.
right?
Yeah, he sang for the crowd. We made an event out of the day. So Phil Wickham was there. Carrie Job and Cody Carnes, husband-wife worship team, they were there. They sang The Blessing, which was fantastic, and a couple other songs. Michael Jr., the stand-up comedian,
Yeah, I've
was
actually met
there.
Michael Jr. a couple times.
Yeah, super good guy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Can I just plug Selfie Dad quick? Selfie Dad is a movie that Michael Jr. stars in, written and directed by a good friend of mine, Brad Silverman, produced by Paul Long. The team at Kappa Studios, where we do our post-production for The Chosen, they're behind this movie, Selfie Dad. And it's a comedy, faith-based comedy, but it's got heart. And Michael Jr. just does an outstanding job.
He's
I mean,
hilarious.
you think he's a super funny guy, and he is, but he's also a good actor and has a lot of heart in that movie. So yeah, check out Selfie Dad. You know what?
Yeah,
Don't watch it Sunday night during our big season 2 review.
Watch The Chosen first, but yeah, then check out Selfie Dad. That's
Squeeze
a good
in
plug.
Selfie Dad somewhere along the way.
Yeah. So now, did you get to act in this season at all? Did your character make a comeback? No.
No, I think the problem was that I just distracted too much. I mean, you see someone with my presence burst into the scene, and you're like, everything else disappears. And they just don't want the attention. I mean, Jesus is the star of the show. So when Justen Overlander shows up and barges in on a scene, it kind of takes,
That's why TMZ showed up, right?
Well, no, we wanted to make sure that I wasn't on TMZ because, again, it takes too much of the limelight away from what the show really is.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. It's not in the script for some Roman messenger to show up. I don't know if he'll ever make a return or not, but man, I had fun doing that. I still have
maybe a season 8 callback, right?
Yeah, well, season 7, we're doing it in 7. Yeah, maybe you said that on purpose, right?
I thought he said you were doing 8.
No, 7 seasons.
Oh, okay. I thought he said 8.
So yeah, maybe I will appear in the 8th season. That doesn't exist.
It's a spinoff. It's a spinoff called The Roman Messenger. Yeah, starring Justen and Michael Jr.
There's something for that. Yeah, when Noah Bennett started this company called Against the Tide Media. He's 14, and he started this company when he was 13, just a super kid. He actually took a picture of Michael Jr. and me together on set, and then he posted it and kind of has the caption of two really funny guys. And I'm just like, oh, that's kind of a put down to Michael Jr. because I'm not at that level when it comes to being funny. I mean, Michael Jr., dude, the guy is just hilarious and has such a great heart. And I'm, I'm funny, but more in a dad joke way. So.
Hey, well, he's the selfie dad, right? So I mean, maybe there's an overlap there. Hey,
there could be.
Let me ask you this: what are you most excited about season 2 to share with everybody? What are you excited? Because when I go see a movie or a TV show, I'm like, hey, I really want you to see this, and I'm excited for somebody to see it so I can talk to you about it. What are you most excited for us to see?
There's 2 things, and I'll go in reverse order. We already talked about the Sermon on the Mount. I am just so excited for people to see how that scene came together. And there's no CGI. Like, it's actual bodies. It's people there. This isn't the movie 3000 where it's a lot of computer graphics. I think I think they did compute. I haven't seen the movie. Why am I referencing movies I haven't seen and talking like I know something? But the fact that we've got real people there, and the energy was just so amazing. And I just am so excited. Like our editor, John Quinn, when he first saw the footage, like just the dailies, the raw footage from that scene, he took a little selfie. He sent it to me and he said, "I'm just doing a selfie, Justin. I don't know if you can use this or not, but okay, play the footage." And so the assistant editor starts playing the footage, and there's John, our editor, and he's just watching. Whoa! And it's just this legitimate. Now he's got a mask on, so you can't see the mouth, but you can see the eyes and you hear the voice. Whoa! Are you kidding me? And it's just like, wow, if he's reacting that way, somebody that's been in the industry for 25 years, and he's that impressed by the footage, I have a feeling that the audience is going to be impressed. And I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for myself, selfishly, to see it, and for the audience to see that big reveal of the crowd. The other thing, and it's the very opening scene of season 2. So episode 1 of season 2 drops this Sunday night, Easter Sunday, actually, 8 o'clock Eastern, on our Facebook and YouTube channel. And the first scene, like the teaser scene, is something that I don't think anybody is really expecting. And I'm not going to spoil anything. Spoil it. But if you miss the first, 10, 15, 20 seconds, you might not even truly understand what's going on.
Okay.
So don't be late. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. How far back do I have to go? I mean, what's Hawaiian time? Would that be 4 or 3? I don't know. Anyway,
depends Google on daylight savings, right? Whatever that's at.
Exactly. Yeah. So Google your time zone. Don't be late. The first, the very first scene of season 2 is going to surprise you in a good way. And if you are late and you miss those opening seconds, I think you'll be a little bit disoriented and unsure of what's going on.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm super excited. I just can't wait to see the reactions in the chat boxes
for
the opening too.
How many people? So I watched when Dallas did the video announcing the drop date. There was a ton of, it was like an overwhelming amount of people for like what I just think, Facebook live stream. So do you have any idea what you guys are expecting numbers wise with this live stream?
I don't know.
That's a hard question to ask. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and Dallas is generally, I don't think pessimistic is the right word, but he doesn't really expect. None of us have expected to be where we're at. I mean, the app is almost 100 million views now. I mean,
it's like you're playing with house money now.
In every. Well, and again, this is God's project, and we, He's multiplied these little loaves and fishes so many times, and I wouldn't be shocked by anything. I wouldn't be shocked if the whole, I shouldn't say this publicly, should I? If the whole live stream implodes, like if some technical difficulty happens and then we shut down for 20 minutes, that wouldn't shock me. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if we had 100,000 people watching. I truly wouldn't. Do I expect it? Probably not. I think there will be tens of thousands, but and then we'll be on 2 platforms, so YouTube and Facebook. So adding them together, I think it's conceivable to say.
Well, after seeing how many people were just watching his announcement of it, I'm like, dude, this is going to be huge. And you know what? The other thing is, it's kind of playing into maybe your favor a little bit, the fact that this is a couple years after the first season aired, right? Because the anticipation now has grown so much since you guys put it on YouTube, and it's been spreading like wildfire. I mean, the anticipation's grown so much for, you're filming season 2 and everybody's like, dude, I can't wait. So now Easter Sunday too, that's such a cool, the fact that you're able to do that. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, the anticipation of the early adapters, the people that saw the show right when it came out, but it also gave us time to just build the audience. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still get people every day saying, hey, I just discovered this finally. Wow. So the audience has grown through season 1, which, a couple of years ago now. And so we have that much of a wider reach. Just people that are discovering us continually, and there will probably be a handful of people that will discover us Sunday night and be like, "Wait, there's a first season."
Will they be, I mean, they're not going to, are they going to have to go back and watch it before they watch? Is it going to spoil anything for them besides the fact that, I mean, if you know the general story of Christ's ministry, I guess you're probably not going to be spoiled,
Yeah.
but you guys have a lot in there that's not, it's kind of creative license, right? You guys have added some things in that are really cool touches that emphasize, the bigger truths. So, I mean, is there something that's going to need to be like, no, watch season 1 first so you can know where this is at?
Well, I definitely think there's character development that is established in season 1 that if you aren't familiar with that, you won't get the full breadth of what's going on. Some of the conflict that comes up, especially between, Simon Peter and Matthew.
Yeah,
Matthew,
we barely get a glimpse of that in season 1.
Right, and for the most part, they're enemies in season 1. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden they have to hang out together for a unified cause.
Right,
there's a little conflict that comes there.
Yeah, like there would be in every relationship. It's inconceivable to think that all the disciples just got along great all the time, right? I mean, which sometimes when you hear Bible stories as a kid, you kind of just picture everybody's just smiling and happy all the time, and you forget that there's these are real people. They're still human.
Right. Well. And I, maybe you don't preach it this way, but I think growing up in church, I just had this idea of these are 12 of the most pious, holy people in history. Jesus would only call the coolest of the cool, the most stable of the stable, right? He would only call people that were, by all intents and purposes, awesome people.
Right. Yeah.
But no, he called some people that had some rough edges. Thankfully, right. and myself included, I feel like Jesus has called me specifically for a reason, and I have a ton of rough edges. And for so long, I was hesitant to accept the fact that I could, serve God in my present state of just having all these, skeletons in my closet, or all these, my temper tantrum. I still have tempers on the road, and I'm like, that wasn't very Christ-like of you to. To do this to that other driver, right?
Yeah,
that wasn't very correct.
Or think some words that maybe you shouldn't have thought,
or if I'm alone in the car, some of those words come out audibly. Absolutely. Yeah. So it took me a long time to just accept that God uses us in our imperfections,
Yeah.
He doesn't call us to be perfect before he can use us. He can use us. And then hopefully we want to try to improve the way we handle adverse situations.
Yeah. All right. So we've been doing this, we're doing the group every week, right? It's been really fun I get all the discussion questions together. Some I make up, some I get from the book that you guys have. And we just have a little discussion about it. It's a very quiet group. There's not a ton of talking, a lot of people we got this giant 1,000-person room, and we've got, we're spread out is my point. So people have gotten to share a little bit more lately, but there's been a few instances now where you really are seeing how much these people are relating to the characters and seeing how it's impacted them. And I always ask the question, what character did you relate to most in this? And Simon gets a lot of the like, oh, Simon in this one, the way that he's feeling this way and the pressure of the finances, just things like that. And then of course Matthew as well, just searching for something, and the Nicodemus searching for answers to his questions. So have you seen that happen with your own life at all, where you've just really been impacted by relating to one of these characters?
Well, one of the really neat things that I had the opportunity to do earlier this year, I actually wasn't on set as much in the Texas leg of season 2, but I got to travel around and interview people that were coming to the Sermon on the Mount scene. And I got to talk to them about how Jesus met them in their lives, in their darkest moments. And so listening to people talk about, like we have one that's coming out a week from Sunday, actually. So April 11th, Sunday morning, our YouTube channel will release a little snippet of a woman who came down to the Sermon on the Mount scene and talks about how she was a man killer, and how at the end of episode 1, when Jesus holds her and says, "You are mine," she's like that was what, that was so relatable for me. And so I'm, interviewing this person, and now she's become a friend. I just adore her. I think she's fantastic. I got to hang out with her and her husband and kids in Cincinnati, and it was just a wonderful experience. But those are the things, and Garrett, to your point, when you're asking somebody, which character do you relate to? I think that's what works so well about The Chosen, is that we have crafted, and I say we, Ryan, Tyler, and Dallas. And then the actors, too. I mean, the actors bring part of their own personality and their own interpretation to the roles. They have crafted such human, real characters that have flaws that I can identify with, that you can identify with, that my new friend in Cincinnati can identify with. It's just, oh my goodness. There's so much depth to these characters, and just so much that translates to the current time. They're living in the first century, sure, but they're struggling with some of the same things that we're struggling with. Just being an outcast, a social outcast like Matthew, being poor, being oppressed, all that stuff. It's not specific to first century Capernaum. That's happening now. And to see the way Jesus reaches those people and meets them where they're at, it's a reminder for us. Jesus meets us where we're at. He doesn't wait for you to get everything right. He wants to communicate with you right where you're at. And then you can work things out.
Yeah. You say just the fact that it can be relatable it's so important, because when I was a youth pastor for 8 years, and I would do this series, and I'd repeat it about once every 18 months. And it was just about how we can look at the Bible and think it's outdated, and that it's not relevant now because of, it's been 2,000 years since this has happened, and it was always just looking through, and I would just take little pieces of it and almost trick the kids into like admitting that this is completely relevant to their life now. And it was always something that I would do, like, look, it's not outdated. This is amazing that it still applies to our lives 2,000 years later. And watching every episode, I'm like, Simon's the one I relate to. Like, that's always my answer with that one, just because the development of him, and not only the development of him, but like even putting Eden in there. And we don't know much about Eden from Scripture. So like developing that relationship was, credit to Dallas and the writers. They developed that relationship so well. You're so invested in that marriage between them that you're just, kind of hanging on every word of their conversations, because you're seeing it's real, it's just like the conflict that they have, and the love that they have for each other, and just things like that are so, myself, as we've been married almost, not me and you, but my wife and I have been married for almost 10 years, and like I see little bits of it, and I'm like, dude, we've had a conversation that's almost just like that. So it's really great the way you've developed, or Dallas and the team has developed these characters. Speaking of characters, is there a new character that we're going to be introduced to this season that you're excited about, or that you can share, or is that spoilers?
Yeah, again, I have just grown close to these new actors as people. And so I'm just excited for them and to grow in my relationship with them. And I haven't, I haven't seen a whole lot of the scene work or how things have been cut together. Yeah, I'm dancing around this one, Garrett. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new characters.
Oh, good. Okay.
I want you to be, a little bit surprised by who is who.
Sure.
And, everybody knows that there are more disciples that are going to be introduced to the group. I just don't want you to be misguided into thinking that, one of the actors you've seen in a behind the scenes episode is
oh, okay. I got you.
Or the other, or anything like that. But even even some of the non disciple characters that come in the trailer, you see briefly the healing. I think I can say this without spoiling. The pool of Bethesda.
The pool,
yeah. And the actor that came in and played that role did such a phenomenal job. And I'm just I'm excited for you to meet him. He's only in one episode, but he feels like such a huge presence in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I mean, the trailer shows also some of the characters that we didn't get to see a whole lot of in season 1, but I'm assuming we're going to see more of Thomas in season 2. You see him a little bit in the trailer, and then of course John the Baptist, which I'm really excited just about that storyline. And I don't know exactly how they're going to play that one out. But is there any character that you're excited? I mean, specifically excited, like, oh, good, we got to dive more into this one this time. That wouldn't be a spoiler because we've already seen them.
Well, I'm super thrilled that Rayma, the wine vintner, the one that
with
Thomas has a
yeah.
little bit of an awkward crush on. I'm super thrilled that she's a presence in season 2
Mm-hmm.
and kind of along with the group. So yeah, she and Thomas, Yasmin and Joey are just great people, so much fun on set and really bring a lot to their portrayals of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm super excited that they're along for the ride, and it could or may not be a budding romance, but we'll have to wait to see how that plays out.
Yeah. So I know this is a little more of a season 1 story, but I didn't get to ask you last time, so I did want to talk about it a little bit this time. There's a story about the conversation between Nicodemus and Jesus in episode 7 of season 1 about the music behind that scene. And it was, if I want to make sure I have this right, but it was a girl who had written into the show, and Dallas was really affected by her story and had asked her to come out and actually play the cello for the music behind it, which is an amazing, because I mean, he even says in the short video that they made with this that it is one of the most climactic scenes of the whole season. So can you speak into this at all, and just what that was like to how the decision came around to bring this girl out?
Yeah, I had nothing to do with the decision to bring her out, but I'm so thankful that Dallas was moved in a way that allowed the team to do that. And I actually, believe it or not, just had a little Facebook exchange with Kaylin, the girl in the video, the girl that plays the cello for that scene. And she's just a sweetheart of a girl. And it's just so like The Chosen is great. I love the show. Don't get me wrong. I better love the show. But the bigger thing for me is all of these side stories. Like when I mentioned the miracle of the fish, like that moves me so much just to know how God was working through that. And this little 10-minute or so documentary that one of our head of BTS now, Colin McLeod, actually edited that video and crafted that story with Kaylin and Matt Nelson and Dan Hasseltine and Dallas, of course. Dan and Matt are composers, and Kaylin and her parents. That when I first saw even a rough cut of that.
Oh, I know. It's emotional. Now, Kaylin, she was moved by the performance from Paris playing Matthew, right? And that Matthew's on the spectrum, and so she was moved by that because she's on the spectrum. And that's, I mean, the impact of just seeing somebody on the screen, not only just somebody, but somebody, Matthew, a very important person in history, right? To see him portrayed that way, it just moved her so much that she just decided, I'm going to write into the show. And I think her parents even say like, oh yeah, that's cute that you're going to write into him. And then I'm sure when they get the email from Dallas, it probably was just, I would love to have seen a video of her reaction finding out that she was invited to come out. But yeah, that's another just amazing side story of this.
Yeah, and I don't think they believed it was real. Like I think the parents
somebody was
were
playing
kind
a
of
prank.
Yeah. But no, it's we have so many people write in. Just I mean, I read a message just yesterday. Actually, I still get messages. I'm involved with just kind of keeping a pulse on our social media, even though I'm not as in the trenches as much as I used to be. But I did see a message in our Facebook inbox from somebody who right up front says, I'm autistic. And so forgive me if I don't remember the exact wording, but it was just kind of like this apologetic, I'm sorry if I shouldn't be doing this, or forgive me if I say things wrong. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I love you already just because you're so concerned about that. And then, of course, talking about the portrayal of Matthew and how much it has meant to this particular person. And again, that's, you know, giving a voice to people that sometimes don't necessarily have a voice, you know, people that are a little bit socially stigmatized or ostracized because they might not be as socially aware as, and I hate the word average, as the average person, or, you know, I love that Matthew is such an important part of The Chosen, and I think it gives people that are similarly wired, you know, being on the Asperger's spectrum, it gives them more confidence in themselves. And I love that. That's my jam, Garrett. And you, as a former youth pastor, certainly, I think we share that same passion to just tell kids that they're loved and that they don't have to conform to something else, that they can be themselves and they can be who they are and that they are loved where they're at.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you're running out of time here. I'm going to quick fire a couple of questions at you here before we wrap up. So I got this written down wrong, which is it's 7 seasons, not 8, which is the plan. Was there a time where now, I mean, it's looking like that's going to be able to happen, right? Like that you're going to be able to keep going with the momentum that's behind this now. Is that something that is season 3 already being like developed? Is it something that's like, no, let's get this taken care of first and then we'll look there? Or is it something that you've already got some people looking forward to that?
Yeah, Dallas and the writers did a retreat before we even went into production for season 2, where they mapped out the remaining seasons. So the rough outline for the entire arc of seasons 1 through 7 of The Chosen is there. The rough outline is done. Now, of course, it's going to change, obviously, and it's going to shift and this and that. But the writers, Ryan and Tyler, have been working very, very hard. While Dallas has been shooting season 2, Ryan and Tyler have been busy writing their scriptments and sometimes script form. Scriptment is just their word for something that's kind of a script, kind of a treatment. There's some dialogue in it, but it's more just here's the structure of this episode of this season. So they've been working really hard on that. Dallas, of course, even while he's shooting, will speak into the editing of season 2 with John Quinn, our editor. He'll speak into the writing of season 3 with Tyler and Ryan. The guy just doesn't sleep, for one thing, and doesn't rest at all. But
he's got a lot of energy, doesn't he?
I mean, energy, but just a passion to do this right too. He feels a very big burden that God trusted him to do this, and he doesn't want to let God down. And we all feel that too, but we also have to remember that God rested. And we should too. We need to do that. But no, that's a long way of answering your question. That yes, season 3 is I can't say how far along in the writing it is, but it's close. And
good.
Our goal is to get into production of season 3 sometime later this year.
Awesome. Because then, I mean, ideally, I guess you'd want to be able to be doing this once a year, releasing a season, just like a normal schedule would be, right?
Yeah, at least, if not more often than that. But we want to be. It's so funny. We would love to be ahead.
Oh, of course.
but this has been kind of a manna for the day project all along. I mean, season 3 isn't financed. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we want to move into production this year. We don't have the money yet to do it. We're still relying on the pay it forward system, which is if I can plug that quick, thechosen.tv/pay it forward, or if you're an abbreviation person, /PIF. Both those work.
There you go.
And you can just contribute to the show in that way. And then we've got merch too. thechosengifts.com is our new storefront where you can get stuff like this. The Binge Jesus hat. I sometimes when I'm walking around in public, I'm like, I don't want somebody to misconstrue this, because sometimes you could be like, what do you mean by that? Binge has such a negative connotation. Well, binge isn't a negative word. If you want to binge something good. Binge Jesus. So conversation starters. We've got a handful of those in our gift store.
My dad told me today, he mentioned, because I was talking to him, trying to test out the Zoom stuff right before to make sure that this was working. And I told him just like, hey, is there anything you wanted to ask him? And so he's like, nope, nothing I want to ask him. But they were excited because my dad and I had planted a church together years ago, and he's still at that church. I'm at a different church now, but he said that their church just donated $1,000 to the Chosen. How I'm not sure exactly how they did that, but that's just another. They're like, we want to support more of this, and so it's cool that even, I mean, small churches, they're a small church too, and they're excited to just participate in trying to get more of it made, which is really cool just to see the churches are jumping onto that. I do have one question.
Connect him with me.
Go ahead.
Connect him with me. I'd love to give him a personal thank you for that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That'd be great. One more question here. I have a coworker here who leads worship with me, and this is kind of her one question that she had was, she wants to know if the dog, Matthew's dog, comes back in season 2, and what kind of dog is it?
Oh my goodness. So I'm, you know what? I'm going to upset your coworker right now. I am so not a dog person. and truthfully, the dog was a nightmare to work with.
I can imagine. Like, that's got to be hard. I mean, he's cute. Don't get me wrong. And it was a nice little fun storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say the first dog was a black lab.
Okay.
I could be way off for that. I mean, I got the black part right, I'm pretty sure. But we went through multiple dogs, actually. Not because one died or anything, but just,
no animals were harmed in the making of this TV show.
No, honestly, they weren't. Even though we wanted to swat down the cicada bugs because they kept making the loud noises in the summer in Texas. But I don't think any of those were even harmed that I can recall. So no, the dog was not harmed. The first one was just not as cooperative as we would want it to be. But you know what? The dog's in the show. So yeah, we kind of wrote ourselves into a corner there.
You can so you can just apologize to Geraldine is her name. So yeah, Geraldine. Unfortunately, not the answer you were looking for. That's awesome. All right.
Sorry, I'm not a dog person.
So yeah, her and I both are like, we're dog lovers. So we talk about dogs often, and I don't know, it's just something that when I said that was the first thing that came out of her mouth. And then she made a Friends reference and said, make sure you say it was gal pal Geraldine that asked the question. So all right, last
Rachel Green.
Yeah, exactly. So last question I got for you is just oh wait, you know what? The Fox Nation thing I just saw. Is that something how did that come about? And then I'll let you go.
Yeah, no, we're on Fox Nation. We're on Peacock, actually, the NBC subsidiary too. So we're alongside the relaunch of Saved by the Bell.
Oh, cool.
And the new Punky Brewster release too, which, funny story. So Joshua the Brave from episode 3, and he appears at the Healing of the Paralytic too. He plays Punky Brewster's son in the relaunch of the Punky Brewster series, which is on Peacock. So yeah, we're available on Peacock now too. I mean, honestly, our goal is to get The Chosen in front of 1 billion people.
There. Yeah.
And so the more outlets we have, the better. Now, we're not going to have somebody come in, finance a future season and say, okay, here's our notes. We're still going to stay outside of the Hollywood system because we want to stay true to scripture. We don't want to change anything because some suit comes in and says, well, I think this might be more entertaining. No, we're gonna continue to be stubborn and just create the show the way we feel God leading us to create it. But once the show is complete and more outlets are looking to air it, I mean, the more eyes we can get in front of, the better. And I mean, we're on YouVersion too, the Bible app.
I saw that. That's cool. Yeah.
So it's just great to have more. It's the telephone game. The more people that can hear about it and then tell others about it, and ultimately we want to be releasing down the road exclusively on our app. Yeah, which is one of our goals. So if you don't have the Chosen app, really just go get it. If you really don't like the show, you can delete it. We're not going to come after you. Yeah. But thechosen.tv/app, or you just search up The Chosen in the Google Play App Store There's probably other places you can get apps.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it's available
It's
everywhere.
available all over
And
the
it's
place.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just stream it on Sunday night. How can we watch it?
Facebook or YouTube. Just if you like our page on Facebook, you'll get a notice. If you're scrolling Facebook, all of a sudden a little window will come up say The Chosen is live.
Yeah.
If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification there too.
And are you guys going to release an episode a week, or is that still TBA?
It's TBA. They're just putting the finishing touches on episode 1 right now. To be honest,
so they're not even done. They're not done editing.
No. They'll be released as they get finished, which, for the type A personalities out there, which isn't me. So luckily I'm not affected by this, but the type A personalities that want to know when and where each episode comes out, they're not going to be satisfied. We're just going to release them when we can as they finish, but it won't be like these long gaps. It's not going to be a month between episodes. Right. I mean, every episode is rough cut together. Now it's just the polishing pieces that have to be done, the audio cleanup and the color correction and all that stuff. So episode 1, yes, we're done for the most part, just some finishing touches. And then episode 2 is pretty far along as well.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right, man. Hey, thank you so much for doing this again. I really appreciate taking the time during the busy week you guys are having. So, again, this is Justen Overlander, associate producer of The Chosen. So check that out Sunday night. 5 p.m. is going to be our time here in California. So Facebook or YouTube. And again, go watch it on the app. You can watch it on, I think you said Peacock, right?
Yeah, streaming on Peacock, and it's out there. You can't not find it if you want to look for it. I don't want to tell you where to find it. Just find it where you're comfortable watching it. But we would love you to download the app too. We have a bunch of behind the scenes bonus content there too, which is pretty interesting. Some of the biblical roundtable things that Dallas and the consultants dive deeper into the episodes. So I mean, and you guys are doing the Bible study, and then you're adding some of your own questions and stuff too. So if you haven't seen the biblical roundtables already, make sure you watch those. I think
I'll go check those out. I haven't seen them yet, so I'll go check those out. All right, Justen, thanks so much, man. Awesome. Thanks for taking the time. I'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, bye-bye.
See ya.